just say hello, everyone, and welcome to Refresh, presented by Circle K, and thank you to them. This is our time to connect, to be inspired, and ultimately feel a bit better about the time we spend together. And as you all know, that's what Generation W is all about. Generation W, the positive and the possible. Please mark your calendars. Actually, book your airfares or reserve your virtual stream for March 24th. Great news, because everyone can participate in the magic of W. Thank you, Sherry. And today, because it is such a special day, we have a special offer. So go to genwnow.com and see that you can get a special offer on your way to participate, to be refreshed. Another great way to be refreshed. It's in honor of International Women's Day. So let me just say this: happy, happy, happy International Women's Day. It's a global day of celebrating the social, economic, cultural, and political achievements of women. And I have to tell you, it's been absolutely delightful to wake up to such wonderful celebratory personal notes from friends. I hope you've gotten some. If not, send them. Reading historical contexts and stories and hearing them before all of you joined us with these remarkable women. And knowing that today we could all gather to recognize what we all inherently know and understand, that the important contributions of women to our world are vital, inextricably linked to our overall social, cultural, and economic success, and that we can take the time today to more than celebrate, but to take stock of the work that we still need to do. We were talking about this as we seek to work on behalf of each other and work hard to embrace the equity essential in creating a more productive, accessible, and successful world. Now, I like to quote a dear and valued friend. Some of you may know her or of her work. Her name is Elise Nelson. She's the CEO of Vital Voices. She sent out a letter commemorating this day, and she speaks of the resilience of women, certainly what all three of these women and many of you embody in your everyday. And she says, no matter what the crisis, women are holding their communities together through sheer grit and strength of will. They're not only surviving, but standing up to lead. And I'm inspired by that, because today we'll speak about leadership, personal leadership, professional leadership, civic leadership. What does it all mean? And how do we stand together to raise our collective families, ensure their resilience, and instill their hopes and dreams for a better tomorrow? Actually, I'd be okay with a better today. Joining me, oh my God, amazing women. They're all incredible. And may I add, as all of us who are joining us today, we're celebrating you as well. Know it, feel it, own it. And a special shout out to our Generation W team. Know it, feel it, own it. You're incredibly special. Okay, Niloofar. She's known, and many of you have met her because she's been part of our Generation W family. She's the first and only female fixed-wing Air Force aviator in Afghanistan. Although now she's part of our private Air Force here in the United States. Though her family received death threats, she persevered to complete her training and received asylum to live in the United States in 2009. That was long awaited, Niloofar. Remember waiting with you on that, right? Winning the U.S. State Department's 2015 International Women of Courage Award, Niloofar embodies a story of determination and strength. She's the author of the book, Open Skies, My Life as Afghanistan's First Female Pilot, and she is totally beloved member of the W community. And I look forward to sharing many life adventures with her, the many that she shared with us so far and the great ones yet to come. It's been a journey. Yes, my friend?
Absolutely. Thank you so much, Ms. Donna, as always. I would like to start with a special thing to you, and happy International Women's Day, especially to all these strong women that stand beside each other, that we support each other, and that's what it forms us. If we support each other, that will be the most important thing for all the men to even see it, and they will stand with us. It's not like always we have to be as a woman to support each other. There's some men that support us as well, but most importantly, that as a woman, we have to feel strong for each other and be there for each other. And this day is for all of us. And if we recognize ourselves, the world recognizes us. And
I love that. That's that is powerful. That is powerful. Standing up for yourself to get to all. All right, let me introduce your co-participants, and then there's, hey, Brigitte. How do I say your last name? Or should I call you Brigitte? Brigitte.
That's fine too. I was named after Brigitte, but I've been called Brigitte all my life.
But what do you prefer? What do you prefer?
It doesn't matter. It's Brigitte. It's a name.
Okay, and how do you say your last name? How do you say your last name?
Dzogbenuku. Dzogbenuku.
Dzogbenuku. Okay, I can do that. She's the founder and executive director of Mentoring Women Ghana, an organization born from her belief that women in leadership makes economic and developmental sense. She's been a sportswoman all her life, a track and field athlete and basketball player in her high school, university years, who currently loves to play tennis too. Brigitte is driven by the strong will of Ghanaian women to succeed no matter what the odds, and has a dream of seeing women in key leadership roles in organizations throughout Ghana. Brigitte is a regular community member of Refresh. I think almost every show she's there with her incredible, insightful comments, supportive, teaching us about the world outside of ours and contributing to ours here. Brigitte, I love you. I met her as a mentee. I don't know, it could be almost 15 years ago. And we've been connected ever since. We can tell your Billie Jean King story in a few minutes. Lastly, let me go to Fay. Fay Arjomandi. Pretty good?
Perfect.
Oh, perfect. I'm telling you, all of my languages. Fay is new and amazing friend. She's the founder and CEO of the pioneering edge cloud company called Mimic Technology. She was born in Iran and was in grade 5 when the Iranian Revolution took place, finally fleeing the country at age 17. Interesting, 12 years in a country that's been taken over. Interesting. She began her life as a refugee in Dubai, and she'll tell us more about her personal journey. But from that early turmoil, Fay was able to grow into an exceptional, and I'm just going to tell you, over the top shelf up here, unbelievable tech pioneer and visionary, spending the last decade creating disruptive technology that promotes digital inclusion and equity. So there we are, we're back to inclusion and equity, living and working in many countries throughout the world. So she brings, like all of our women today, a really global perspective. Can you tell I am excited, everyone? Yes,
Absolutely.
because we're celebrating amazing women, this whole community, the generation, that's awesome. So let's go. Niloofar kicked us off. And Brigitte, let's go to you. Your journey as a woman from Africa, coming to America, going back to your country. What do you see in the world?
Well, happy International Women's Day, first of all, to everybody. May we be strengthened, that we carry forward the dreams that we have to change this world and have an effect, a positive effect in all our communities wherever we find ourselves. So yes, in 2008, I was a participant of the Fortune State Department Global Women's Mentoring Partnership. And Donna, you were my mentor. And through you, I met very, very strong and powerful women, not only the Fortune women, but also the women who played basketball, who were in the WNBA at the time. And even those who worked for the WNBA in the offices. And it was a lot of learning for me because at the time I ran a recreational center here in Ghana, and I was a general manager. And when I was actually paired with you to come and be mentored by someone in basketball, which happened to be a very small part of my business at the time, I actually wondered what it was all about. But it opened my eyes a lot to women in leadership and women doing things differently. And I think that relationship with you and with Vital Voices, which followed because I participated in a lot of Vital Voices programs, opened my eyes to the power of women, the power of women's leadership, and the difference we make in the world. And with what Niloofar said, if we took each other along, if we brought each other along. So with me, I was your mentee, I learned from you, but when I came back home, I established Mentoring Women Ghana and started initially with using basketball as a mentoring tool for young ladies. So I would bring young ladies from around the communities to play basketball, but to talk about other things, about themselves, about life, about school, would learn a little bit, and it builds the sport builds confidence. So it builds confidence in the young girls as well. And that is what I started with. But more and more as the years went by, I actually saw the fortitude of women, and especially Ghanaian women, and how much they contributed to the economy, to their society, to their communities. But it's always understated. It's always undervalued. And I think that one reason is because we only put value to things that have financial or monetary value. We don't see the other values that they add to it. And unfortunately, the roles that we play worldwide as women, a lot of it is not quantified in monetary value. So it tends to be overlooked. Like our roles as carers, our roles as reproductive, the responsibility of reproduction and bringing up children and childbearing and child care and upbringing and things like that are not valued. You can't put money to it, and therefore it seems as if the only thing of value is who brings in the purse. But over the years, I've also noticed that even in Ghana, our women have become, most women are now the breadwinners of their families. They are
Interesting.
bringing in the income and taking care of the homes. I dare say maybe 60%, maybe more. And it's time now for us to recognize our worth, not only financially, but everything else, and the role we play, and how much we have become default leaders in our communities.
That's interesting. And look, I want to come back to that because I know you're more than a default leader. Fay, I'm going to move to you, but I just want to recognize another amazing woman who's joined us on Facebook. We can't see our Facebook folks, but Leslie Ann Wade, a pioneer in communications in the sports, entertainment, and media environment. She's with us. Hey, Leslie Ann, we're glad you're here. Leslie Ann will send us some good questions, and let me remind everybody as we go, post your questions. We'll come to them. This is a family conversation. Fay, you have come through so much as well in terms of living and seeing so many different cultures. You're living in America and sort of working in Canada, both. Love to know what your observations in terms of the state of women, because in all the areas you touch, it really does differ a great deal, doesn't it?
It does. And first of all, happy International Women's Day. What I see is really, it's almost like a moment of awakening that we're experiencing right now around the world. Women are taking charge, leading revolution, like what's happening right now in Iran, that it's a revolution of Gen Z, and within it, women led the revolution or started the revolution after the government murdered an innocent girl for having some of her hair showing up, for not wearing proper hijab. And now they are leading a revolution under the name of woman, life, liberty, or freedom. And that's very inspiring, because what I see is that that's also have impacted our neighbors' country, such as Afghanistan, that actually even some women started running, basically going on the streets and cutting their hair as the representation of that woman life freedom movement, and also other regions such as Syria and other areas. And that's what's happening in Middle East. And at the same time, what we're seeing, some of the progressive movements by, for example, Saudi, that they now have women tennis team that they actually started competing in one of the Southeast Asian countries. But generally speaking, what I believe is that women are the core of society. They have always taken a role of nurturing and building their community, starting from their family, and then go to the neighbors, and now kind of expanding to bigger roles in sport, leadership in technology, leadership in financials, leadership in sport. It's quite inspiring to see that how these women, given their circumstances. Again, if you look at Iran, if you look at Afghanistan, and then if you look at US as well, or other developed countries, we're just taking a role of leadership, fearless. We're moving forward. We want to create better society for our family. And I don't think when you look at women mentality, it's not about my own. It's almost like we know that if the neighbor is not doing well, it's impact the neighborhood. If the region is not doing well, it's impact everybody else. So I'm inspired, and I'm at awe with women basically not giving up.
Women not giving up, which actually implies that it's a struggle for women, that there's no easy path per se. There's nobody to say, there's the yellow brick road, go to the Oz and the wizard will appear for us, right? We have to fight, right? We have to fight to build that road, to get to the wizard. And when we get there, she'll be a wizardess, right?
Exactly.
Well, she could be a wizard too, according to Niloofar. We need men and women in this journey together, right?
Absolutely. I mean, it's not about one versus the other. It's about the collaboration of both. But don't give up on yourself and trust yourself and have confidence that you can lead. It's not about having a role model. I mean, and again, in my sector of technology, there's a lot of discussion that they say, oh, you want to lead, you have to act like a man, talk like a man, walk like a man. And I say, no, okay, hold on a second. That's not being a woman. Women have their own leadership style. And that's what it is. You have to bring that leadership style. You have to bring that kind of different thinking and different style into the table. And in fact, teach that as a new method of leadership. You know, so it is a struggle. It has been a struggle. I believe women have historically been vilified, and we had some amazing movement of getting our freedom, getting our vote to right, but then at the same time, in certain countries, it's been taken away, like Iran and Afghanistan. In some other countries, it's under attack. So it's almost like, to me, it's almost like a software, like a system. That's my background. You have to constantly maintain it. You can't become complacent to it because you are having it all. I am in a developed country. I'm having a good life. So I don't care about the government. I don't care about what's happening. I'm good. But if you don't care about it, if you don't get engaged with it, if you don't make the change, if you don't maintain that freedom, it will be taken away from you very quickly. And the example of it is Iran and Afghanistan.
Yeah, well, it's actually in America as well, Fay. We're living through it right now, right? The erosion of rights, of women's rights. We are living through it right now.
Exactly.
And let me go. There's a couple. You touched on so many wonderful things, but Brigitte, you said something. I think you used the word fortify. I always take notes, as you know. I'd love to ask everybody who's on Zoom, anybody who's out there in Facebook, pick a word today that is your adjective for women. You know, Elise used resilience, you used fortify. Just like we'll see it as it scrolls up. I think that would be great. Talking about not a yellow brick road, Niloofar, there was no open gates for you to join the Air Force in Afghanistan. So talking about being a fighter, what experience was that like for you? And where did you summon the strength to be in a place where you truly were not wanted?
Thank you so much, Ms. Donna, for your question. So before I start, I would like to ask, especially today is that Women's Day, I would like to ask one question from everyone. How do you define yourself? And if I ask it in a different way, is how would you like to be defined? And I think that was the answer that I was seeking for, even as a child. That in a country that's so male dominated, in a country that you're always judged that no matter what you do, how can you be defined? And I think just sharing the story or talking about the journey of a woman, how struggle it is in the countries that they call third world countries, how a woman can find a voice. Unfortunately, there is so many voices in Afghanistan is unheard, especially as Ms. Fay mentioned, the same thing in Iran or other countries that right now they are dealing with all these words still, that you're a woman, you have to be controlled by a man, you have to be doing exactly what a man told you to do. But there's no rules and laws for men, how they want to act or what they want to do. So for me, growing up as a little child, you know, the day I was born, my family, my parents were ashamed by giving a birth to a baby girl. And my parents, my mom had to cry just because she gave a birth to a girl. And in Afghanistan, that has been controlled over years and years by the Taliban. The mentality was that woman is not even allowed to be educated. Woman has to cover the face. Woman is not allowed to go to school. That's all I heard as a young girl. So I mentioned that before. For me, the dream of flying and being a pilot, it didn't come from because I sat in a plane, fall in love with it, and I wanted to be a pilot. That never been a dream of mine. That never. The first time I ever been in a plane, it was when I actually started my pilot training. That's the first time I ever been in a plane. I had no idea how it feels and how it looks. But the ambition, like the dreams and ambition that I had about it was I wanted to do something different. Unfortunately, not many women can find their voice like I did in Afghanistan. There's so many strong women, there's warriors that they have fought for years, but they have been destroyed or silent because men does not wanted those women to raise their voice, because I believe that they think women are so strong that if they have a voice or they reach to a certain level, they're gonna take their place. But what they
hold on that. That's like incredible, right? I'm just they think if women use their voice, they'll be so powerful and strong and take their place.
Absolutely.
Right. So there's fear all around, fear of not being able to use your voice, fear of using your voice, someone else's fear of having you use your voice. How do we work through that, Fay?
I think the way to work through it is not let it stop you, you know. And again, it's easier to be said than to be done in certain countries than the others. But again, if you look at, for example, what's happening in Iran, women for the past 43 years since the revolution happened, and from a very free Iran, free and democratic. I mean, again, you could argue on that, whether it was democratic or not back then before the revolution, but it was a free country and women had a voice and they had a role. But then since after the revolution happened, which was nothing then, it was based on disinformation. So when you say how we go through it, I would say education is the
education, which is
most important fundamentals, right. You know,
right.
Which Donna, to your point of what's happening in US, I am very worried that disinformation is taking over and filtering disinformation and noise from fact, combined with attack to our schools and books that are taught in universities and in schools, could have a huge impact. So as I said, maintaining that freedom and staying engaged and enforcing a better education from the ground up is actually, I think, is the key to our success and finding a way to continue on that.
I agree. Now, we speak about voice and powerful voices. Brigitte, you are a powerful voice. And one day you sent an email and you said, I'm going to use my voice. I'm going to run for office. Tell us about that, your decision behind that, because I admire women who run for office. It's not something that, especially here in America, I don't know why anyone would take that on. It is a brutal experience. We're seeing it play out locally, nationally, whatever. But tell us what made you do that?
Well, first of all, if I should just say something about what Niloofar was saying and Fay as well about women's rights. If you give your rights away, then the men start to feel that you're taking something away from them. I saw a UN Women's poster recently that said, allowing women their rights does not take away these rights from men. It's not a pie. And I thought it was very interesting. But yes, coming to this question of what made me run, I was asked actually, but I was asked after I had made my voice heard. There was a demonstration against the government at the time in 2015. I went out there just as a concerned citizen, with my own worries and my own anxieties and anger maybe. And the media caught me, and because I had been so vocal on social media, as soon as I got there, they thought, oh, here's Brigitte, and they stuck the mic in my face, and I ranted for about maybe 3 to 5 minutes. And this went, at the time, viral. It was as viral as it could go in Ghana at the time. And therefore, a political party saw me and asked that I ran as the vice presidential candidate in 2016. And I thought, well, if I've been sitting and ranting and raving on social media and my voice went as far to be picked up by the media, the traditional media, radio and TV, well, why not? Because this was an opportunity to make my voice heard again, or in far-reaching places, in the communities. And frankly, yes, at the time, the presidential candidates I actually thought would win. We came third, our party came third. And it was quite disappointing. But in 2020, then he said he wasn't running anymore. And yet we wanted the party still alive and going. So he asked if I would, and it was very short. We had very short time to campaign, but I thought, yes, we can do this. And if I wasn't even going to be president, and frankly, I didn't think I would be, but I knew that I would be heard and I would be seen by other women, by younger women, by people like me in the middle class in Ghana who wanted to be heard. And this might be my little way of saying, you also can be a candidate, you also can make your voice heard, you also can get into the political space and make a difference. And that is how come I run for office. But more and more, I think that we as women, women like me, have the chance to step up and be heard and change the trajectory of our country and our economy. I mean, right now, our country is almost bankrupt. We are struggling to stay afloat. We've gone back to the IMF for help. Inflation is in the 50%. Our debt to GDP is 100% plus. We are in debt. It's terrible. And I think that it's time for us, the women, because I think it was Fay who said, regardless of the situation in the country, it is the women. We are the ones who bring everybody along. We are the ones who keep everybody together, regardless of which country. And it's time for us to be heard, and it's time for us to step up, because we can change things. In 2011, on the Vital Voices program, I was with a lady from Guatemala, and she said to me that, I don't know if you remember, there was a time they said the world was coming to an end. I think it was 21st December of some year. And we all thought, oh, the world was going to come to an end, they said. And this lady from Guatemala explained to me that when they said that the world was going to come to an end, it didn't mean it was coming to an end and, you know, all the catastrophe and all that. What it meant was, according to Inca, or I think Aztecan belief, the world was going to come to an end as we knew it. And she said what was going to happen then was that the rule of men's leadership was ending and women's leadership was starting for, I think, another 200 years.
Yeah, I like that. That's so interesting. I've heard Deepak Chopra not speak about it in the same kind of way, but really alluding to the need for feminine values in order to round out our world in leadership. And by the way, men can own feminine values as well. It's not about gender assignment. It's about the way we ascribe values and behaviors based on I guess, a sexualized gender role. But we have all of that all in us, and we're just encouraged to express it differently. Hold on right there. I just want to say welcome, welcome everybody, because during the time people come in, they come out. You're joining us for Refresh, a time to connect. Today, we are happily celebrating International Women's Day with amazing women and all of who are around us today to connect. We want to say thank you. Also, we sent out the question, what word would you use, your personal word, to describe women? And I just want to share those with you as well. Powerful, nurturing, although I think Joy came back and said powerful and nurturing, resilient, servant leader, empathic, empathy, and persevering. We've heard warriors, we heard leadership. You know what, I listened to all of you and knowing a little bit more about you, having that benefit than all of our guests, all of you have started in places and ways that have presented barriers and challenges. And you sit here and encourage all of us to step beyond them. What was it about those experiences that give you that strength and sightline to not only say it, but to do it? And I'll leave that open. Who wants to jump in?
I think the freedom to be, you know, like I grew up that's that daily struggle and fighting with everything, fighting with the overprotective parents, fighting with a super restrictive system, fighting with kind of a sexist tradition that had become a norm. While, like in my case, I was a teenager, I just wanted to be who I want to be, you know, a rebel and a sport, an athlete, you know, hang out with my friends and always finding a way around those complexities to live my life and be who I want to be, a tomboy and a sport and whatever. I think those were the reasons. In fact, I never saw my gender as a deficit, and I saw those struggles or daily complexity of managing life as a way to, hey, I need to change this system. And I started with myself, and then kind of went to let me help others as well. I don't know if I answered your question, but
no, that's helpful. That's helpful. That's fine. Like Niloofar, like she needed an escort to get to her job every day. Didn't the men make you do all the time? Like what? Where did you get that? I think all of us want to know. Yes, we want to be the best we can be. What brings that out in us, especially when we've had tremendous barriers and messaging around us that say, well, you know what, maybe you can't be all you can be.
Absolutely. I think if we all think that it's our duty to fight for our freedom and for the next generation after us, I think it will bring a big difference. Every day, each one of us start with ourselves. And I think for me, it came from, I knew I was alone. I knew I had no support. Even my own relatives, people, society, everyone, even my own coworkers are there to just shame me or make me fail at job. But the point is that we all have to realize, if I have nothing against men, all I'm trying to explain is that if a woman gave up, they think because she's not able to do such job, it's always put on her because she's a woman. For me, I was in the same situation. No matter how many threats in my life, in my family's life, the words, the insults, the negativity you will hear every day, it encouraged you to do more, because those words, if it could affect me or any other woman that they hear this daily, it will make them, if they quit, it's not because the society or the negativity toward them made them quit. They always would judge her just because it was a woman that she quit. And I learned one thing since I was a child from my father, that never give up, because if I give up along the way, one day I will regret it, and it will be the rebuild of regrets in my life. I don't want to look back and say, I wish I could have done it better. I don't want to have that word. And giving up is never, people say it's never an option. For me, it's never, I would never allow it, because if I give up, I know there will be a day in my life I will regret things. And no matter how difficult that moment it can be, if we can deal with it, we will enjoy it in the future. because no one else is fighting for us. No one else will fight for me and for my voice if I don't do it myself. As I mentioned that, if we don't start today, when we will start? And if we don't do it today, when we will do it? And this is how I every day remind myself that if I don't be a voice for myself and other girls in Afghanistan or other world, that they don't have a voice, they don't have a freedom, they don't even take away the right of education from them, which is every human's right. Who will do it for us? If I have to wait for someone else to do it for me, we all would think there's someone else going to do it for us. We have to start within ourselves. If I don't feel happy within myself, I should never seek it anywhere else. If I think there is someone else give that happiness to me and they will give this to me, this will never happen. And I think if all of us start from ourselves, we will be in a different place.
Brigitte, you're not. Go ahead.
So if I may add something, I love this quote, and to Nilofar's point, I love this quote that says, "No drop of rain blame itself for the flood." You see, it starts from each person. It starts with each of us fighting for ourselves and fighting for others versus waiting for others to fight for us. So just wanted to add that.
I love that. That's beautiful. No drop of rain
blames itself for the flood.
Blames itself for the flood. That is poetic. It's beautiful. Brigitte, I saw you shaking your hand. And please, I'm going to come back to your question in a second. If anybody has anything else, I know I'm feeling incredibly inspired. I'd like to really focus on the good things here, but Brigitte, you're yesing.
Yes, I was yesing because, I mean, I don't know if I told you when I was with you at the WNBA, but some of us are in privileged positions. I listen to Niloofar and I listen to Fay, and I come from a fairly free country. 6th March was our Independence Day, and we've been independent since 1957. We haven't had any major wars. We had a revolution in 1979 and 1981, and we've had constitutional rule since 1992. But women's place in leadership and in the country, yes, we are free, but we've not been given the space, and nobody is going to give you the space. You've got to make the space for yourself. And some of us have had the opportunity or are privileged to have a voice. And when you ask what made me step up, that was one of them. I realized that I had a voice, and I had a voice from, about 30 years ago. I was Miss Ghana. I don't say this often, but I did contest.
So you got dressed up? Did you have to sing?
I had to do everything, and I was crowned Miss Ghana in 1991. Okay, so I stopped counting. I stopped counting after 30 years. But that is why when I went to a demonstration, they said, "Oh, there comes Brigitte." Oh, and so you know that you have this opportunity and this privilege and this agency which you can use and express on behalf of everybody else who may not be that confident or who may not be that strong to step out there and speak up.
Right,
and
without a doubt. Right.
They throw the dirt at you and all that, and trust me, it hurts. But you try to shake it off and get on with it. I mean, politics is a very difficult thing. You know it. You just said it. It's a very difficult place to be. Everybody's
it's a full contact sport. It is full contact.
I mean,
totally full contact. Yeah. Let me go ahead.
But if you play, like Fay said, if you play your politics not like a man but like a woman, and agree that, look, this is also a journey for me. I am learning, but I am committed to making this difference. You go with it, and nothing turns you back. You're not cowed by anything.
Right, that's true. 2 quick questions here before we have to go, in respect for everyone's time. Amin, I hope I got that right, for Fay. How do you assess the women's fight for freedom in Iran and the role of education in that fight?
Very good question. So first of all, before the revolution, we had women judges, women reporters, all that, but also the female literacy actually has been more than tripled since 1976. So from 24%, we're now at 50%. And I think that, again, and women never gave up. And if you look at it again, in my opinion, at least in Iran and many countries, women are leading. I mean, raising a kid is a leadership. It has a lot of diplomacy. Raising a family is a leadership. So in my opinion, it's almost ingrained in women. But education has a huge impact, because the more you educate it, the more you can actually stand on your 2 feet and have your voice and make your voice heard of. And that's
Right.
what I think the revolution in Iran right now with women leadership is a great example of it.
Yes. And we're going to talk a little bit more about that when Generation W comes on March 24th. But before, we have one more question, and then I have actually a quote. But before I do, I don't know if you can see this. This came from the internet.
Oh my
It's
goodness.
Donna. Love that. Penny Zuber, thank you. For Niloofar, who inspired you to break barriers in a country that is so oppressive of women?
I think I can say the pain and the struggle, because of the pain and the struggle as a little child, it wasn't built within me. I would never be inspired to fight for other women. That because of that, I found a voice that everything I had to go through as a child, every right that had been taken away from me, I wanted to give that in the future for another child that I didn't have. So I think the pain and the struggle inspired me to fight for other women and be a voice for them, the ones that didn't have.
That's awesome. So let me just say this. I will take this experience not only for today, but beyond. All of us are getting ready for Generation W, the positive and the possible. So this will be our last gathering until then. If you are not familiar with our event, go to our website, genwnow.com. You can come and visit with us in Jacksonville. I think Fay's coming to be with us this year. She's going to be participating. We have amazing, amazing speakers, just like these women. Shantae Lowe, U.S. record holder woman. She's beyond. Melinda White. All of these women have incredible stories, as well as expertise and messaging for all of us. We have great workshops. If you are unable to make it to Jacksonville, then you can absolutely, we curate a really wonderful, you will feel the spirit through a virtual stream. Because we are celebrating women today, we have a special offer for you, both virtually and for in-person tickets. So I really urge you. And if you've already registered, please share this with everyone. I don't know, we work so hard to share the joy, to share the positivity, to share the possibility. I don't know, we want everyone. It's like, I guess it's kind of like what each of you said. We've got to share the positive messaging so that we can be a voice for good, for change, for success, all of those great things. And before we go, I always like to do this. I'm going to leave you with 3 quick messages and then a bite from our new chairman of the board, Dr. Orender Johnson, who gave us a great message from the Gen W stage. But before we get there, I love, Fay, you said women, it's like a women's awakening. Women are at the core of societies, and don't ever give up on yourself. Brigitte, we have so much value, but that women bring that is not valued, and we need to be able to value all that women bring to the world. And then Niloofar, it is our duty to fight for freedom and for our next generation. I think it's our duty to celebrate the positive and the possible so we can step into goodness and greatness. And with that, I just want to leave you with this message again from Dr. Orender, who happens to be the strategic professor of leadership at the United States Naval War College.
You see, whether we know it or not, every person in this room or watching online today has something that the world needs to see and experience. Your talent, your kindness, your creativity, your drive and your will, your expertise, your thoughtfulness, your example, your testimony, your joy, your light, your love. But in order for the world to receive what we have to offer, we have to make every effort to secure that link to our own inner power, connecting to our passions, connecting to our purpose, connecting to our courage, even connecting to our own insecurities. It is in that connection where we will find our strength, and in that connection that lies our promises for our now and for our future.
the promises for now and our future. I want to thank you, Niloofar, from my heart, Brigitte from my heart, Fay from my heart. You are all amazing. All of us who joined us, all of us will get to see you as this will go up onto our webpage and people will come and follow and want to be a part of this conversation. I thank you and helping us celebrate an important day, a day that should be every day, celebrating International Women. Thank you, everybody.
Thank you so much. Thank you.